Hey, Cougar family. Welcome to Season 1 of the CougsFirst podcast, your one-stop business network, a podcast all about life, business, and the best college in the world, Washington State University. Join us each episode to hear stories from your favorite Cougs, interviewed by yours truly, Kelsey Knutson, class of 2012. We're so glad you're here, and we can't wait to dive into this week's conversation. So grab a cup of coffee, crack open that beer, or pour a glass of wine, and let's kick off another episode of the CougsFirst podcast. All right, Coug fans, welcome back to the podcast. Today is a selfish episode for me, Kelsey, because I have none other than Mr. Luke Falk joining me, and I watched this man play football from the beginning, and I just can't wait to have a fun conversation about football mindset. We might talk about Mike Leach and also all the awesome stuff that he's up to nowadays. So Luke Falk, say a quick hello to the listeners.
Hello, go Cougs. Kelsey, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for being here and go Cougs. First of all, I feel like we have to start at the beginning, which is how did you end up at WSU?
I would say process of elimination. Not a lot of schools wanted me. I had no clue where WSU was, never even heard of them. And then when Coach Leach got hired, he was one of the coaches I want to go play for with Air Raid. And anyways, I had to walk on to do it. Thankfully, he had an assistant named Eric Mealy. I went up there. I was actually offered by the University of Idaho. And sorry for all those listeners out there that have heard this story a billion times. But anyways, I went up there to do like my official visit with Idaho, and 8 miles down the road was Pullman. So I said, hey, can I come over there, check out the campus and start a relationship? Idaho ended up pulling my offer. And then I only had a Cornell deal, and their coach left. So all I was left with was a walk-on opportunity at Washington State. So I said, all right, go make the most of it. And ended up working out pretty good.
I would say so. So for those that don't know, what does it take to be a walk-on? Like, what does that mean? Could you walk us through that world?
Yeah, well, at the beginning, a lot of no meals with the team. You know, it's a little bit different now. I was talking to Coach Dickert, and he says that they provide all the meals for the walk-on guys now. So that's pretty cool. But basically, you're at the bottom of the barrel. They're going to give all the scholarship guys every opportunity for you. And fortunately for me, I got pretty lucky. I had guys transfer out. And, I was prepared. My dad always says the luck is the preparation meets opportunity. That's kind of what happened for me. And fortunately, too, we'll talk about Coach Leach, but fortunately for me, I had a coach that didn't care if I was on scholarship or not. He was going to play the best player. And, I kind of hit my stride in that second year, and things kind of just fell in line for me. So I think for anybody listening to walk on out there, it's a tough path. I think I got pretty fortunate, pretty lucky. It streamlined my process a lot earlier than anticipated. But, it's no different than anything anybody else does. You just got to have a belief in yourself. And I think a lot of the younger generation might not appreciate it, but it's not an instantaneous gratification thing. It's something that you got to work on, and the compound effect's going to eventually pay off for you. So not getting discouraged by, what happens in a day. It's really those incremental improvements, and then eventually you kind of work your way up the ladder and get your shot.
What do you think made you, once you did have that opportunity, what do you think made you different?
Oh, I think what made me different, I'm going to say this. I think I was pretty football savvy in the sense of how Coach Leach wanted his offense ran. And I think I maximized my opportunity by being ready and incorporating something that maybe was missing, which was the ability to be able to check into a run when there was a good box. I don't know if anybody knows out there or listening knows what like the box is, but if there's a light box, I would check into a run. If there's a heavy box, I'd check to the pass, and making sure that we got in the right play call, which, made our probability of having a good play go sky high. So I think that was through my film prep, my study, and then having a great high school coach that prepped me for that moment. So I think that's what kind of was the secret sauce in a sense. So yeah. I wasn't a great athlete. I don't think. I don't think people got wowed by my physical ability, but I think from the best thing I did was the ability to put it all together mentally.
Yeah. And there's a common thread in your accomplishments, but also the work you do now of this mindset stuff. When did you first realize the importance of it?
Yeah, I think I struggled a lot in high school with confidence. And then I was fortunate enough to work with a guy named Craig Manning, who's a sports psychologist for the University of BYU and or BYU University. That's just trying to disrespect him. I don't like BYU that much. I grew up a Utah kid, but working with him and seeing the value of just how my confidence increased by doing the things that he asked of me. And then, I got to college, and that was kind of the missing element. I saw a lot of guys have a lot, stronger arm, more physical intangibles. They could run, they could do all this stuff, but it seemed like when it mattered most, I had the ability to put it all together and maximize my God-given ability. And so it really started hitting me then. I was like, my secret weapon's my mind. Mm-hmm. And I think what I wanted to do when I was done playing, I always wanted to coach. And I'm actually going to be getting into the college coaching world. We talked a little bit about it, but I also wanted kids to have the opportunity that I did. I know there's not a lot of parents out there that know to get their kid a sports psychologist stuff. And if they do, it costs an arm and a leg. It costs like $150 for a 30-minute session, or $250, or $25,000 a year for somebody to get hired on. And I wanted them to have the ability to have, great confidence and instill that in them at a young age. Because I think mind strength, just like any other language, the younger you learn it, the easier it is. All right. There's a reason I took 6 years of Spanish in high school, because I think I was a little bit too old there for me to actually comprehend what was going on. But I had a guy named my roommate, Isaac Dotson, who was in a Spanish immersion class at school when he was younger, and he knows Spanish great. So I think the younger you learn it, and that's why we really focus on the youth kids and teaching them these great mental skills. I think that they'll have the better ability to learn it and retain it. And then also, too, I think it helps not only on the field. I can't talk about mental health because I'm not a mental health expert, but I know for me, when I've had trials, tribulations in my life, just having these skills has helped me tremendously.
Well, and that also kind of spills into leadership, which is very much what you do now, but also as a quarterback, that's essentially what you are.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I think these mental skills are great for leadership, and those quarterbacks that don't have them, I don't think they ever maximize their full potential. I think the greatest thing that I would look for in a quarterback is, does he elevate the guys around him? And I think, early in my years, I think I did a great job doing that. I think later in my years, I took for granted some of the stuff that I'd worked on. And then you probably saw a little bit of struggles that we had my senior year, in a sense, from an offensive standpoint. And I think that's from me as a leader, not doing the things that got us to, be a good offense, be a good team before that.
I mean, that's such a young age to be looked at, have all the pressure of just the fans, but also the team really leaning on you for all of that.
You know what? It's a unique position. I envy Cam. I envy anybody that's in the spotlight that gets the opportunity to do it. Mm-hmm. And, my goal is that I can hopefully pass some wisdom that I have through my experience and down to them, and they can take what they want from it. So, what does it say? The youth is wasted on the young. So I wish I could go back and take what I know now and implement it. So I think, but anyways, I wouldn't change anything that I did. I think it was all part of my growth and my whole experience.
You've crushed some records through the Pac-12 of all the different things you've done there, whether it's a tangible thing or just a moment that you experienced yourself. What are you most proud of your time at WSU?
Oh, I think I'm most proud from a team standpoint. When I got there, we were like the armpit of college football. I'm
so glad this isn't visual. I'm trying to contain Kosher here, people, but I was there then.
Yeah, it wasn't very good. I remember we played Arizona State on Halloween, and our message was, hey, we're going to lock the gates, lock the gates on these guys. And we were getting beat. I have no clue, but I was like, open the gates, get us out of here. But there's nobody in the stands. The morale around the team wasn't high. And I think, I was part of a core group of guys that really changed the culture. And it's fun to be able to see kind of the impacts that we still had. And then I think selfishly, from an individual standpoint, just earning a scholarship, it was so meaningful to me. Being able to get a stipend check, being able to be in the student athlete section where I get my books handed to me and I don't have to wait in an hour to 2 hour line with the regular students. No offense, regular students, I was there with you. And then also the ability to just swipe my Cougar card and get a free meal. And so anyways, that was pretty big to me, just being able to be on scholarship. It was just it's all whirlwind. I never would have dreamt it or imagined it when I got up on campus. And then now I never take it for granted. So I love WSU. They gave me a tremendous opportunity, and I want to do everything I can to help the university.
CougsFirst is your one-stop business network. Looking for a new bank or insurance? Think CougsFirst. Buying a new car? Think CougsFirst. Hiring a Coug? Think CougsFirst. Need a mentor? You guessed it. Think CougsFirst. What makes WSU great is Cougs supporting Cougs, and they are in every business and will take your call. Google it at cougsfirst.org, and as always, go Cougs. And specifically, let's go there, which is Mike Leach. If you can you pick like your favorite story? And it could be even present day, because I know you just had him on your podcast. So
yeah, I won't
tell us about Mike.
Yeah, I won't say what the conversations we had down in Key West together now after when I was down fishing. But one of my favorite Leach stories, and this just probably sums him up, is we're playing Oregon State, we're getting beat. It was 24-7 at halftime. I thought he's going to be pretty pissed. I thought he's going to come in and like, hey, this is what we're doing for, the second half. And I walk into the coach's locker room and he's studying Spanish on Rosetta Stone. He's like, nah, blah, whatever. And I just started laughing because that's Coach Leach. He's calm, cool, collected. Really, he's probably talking 80% non-football, 20% football. And even at the crunch time, he was, still being Coach Leach. And then we went out in the second half and dominated. And his message was simple to me after his studying Spanish is like, there's nothing these guys are doing. Just go out there and kick their, bleep. So that's one of my favorites. And then another one, just football. And a lot of these I got to keep PG because I don't know. Yeah. I don't know who we've got in the audience or whatnot. I mean, I could really, we could crack open a beer and really get into the depths of some Coach Leach conversations. But we were playing UCLA and we were down by 3. And there's a minute 17 left. I'm asking him, I'm like, hey, what do you want here? Thinking he would give me a play call. He says, probably a touchdown. I'm like, oh yeah, no crap. Like, all right, what do we got here? So anyways, that was just, I loved how simple he kept the game. I love his personality. Whenever I got in a funk, he always found a good way to get me out of it. And, he was the perfect coach for me. I think I was pretty analytical as a player and he was pretty just, keep things simple. So.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. And he's obviously, a fan favorite. Everyone loves him.
Yeah. For sure. Did you always have the goal and know you would play professional?
I had the goal. I actually thought I was going to be an NBA player growing up. And then I realized about 8th grade that probably wasn't going to happen. And that dream quickly switched to wanted to be an NFL player. And I did. I thought I had a belief in myself and, it was a dream. So when it happened, it was pretty surreal, especially going against like Tom Brady, going against the defending Super Bowl champions and stuff like that. But I think when I went and walked on, I think I was just hoping to get a scholarship and hoping to be able to play at some point, like maybe my senior year. And so the fact that all that stuff happened and then I went and got drafted in the NFL, I mean, that is a complete dream. I did not draw it up that way. So if you would have asked me when I was 18 years old with no scholarship offers, if I was going to be an NFL draft pick, I'd probably say, heck no.
What did that moment feel like when you knew officially you were going to play professional for somebody?
It was pretty surreal. I mean, getting the combine invite, that was awesome. My process going through it wasn't ideal. I just had a broken wrist my whole senior year. And then just right after the
casual.
Yeah, right after the Apple Cup. Unfortunately, I'm not going to bring anything up in the Apple Cup. I don't think I'll ever go to an Apple Cup game unless I'm like coaching, because boy, I must be in the Husky Hall of Fame with how many touchdowns I gave them rather than the Cougs. But after the Apple Cup, I got informed that my bone in my wrist was dying. I had to go get some surgery. And I went and got that. Unfortunately, I missed the bowl game against Michigan State. And then throughout the whole draft process, my wrist really never healed. So I never felt like I got like my best foot forward through that. But, the whole experience was great. Going to the combine, you see it on the thing, having pro day, that was awesome. And then draft day came. And my draft day is a little bit, probably not as celebrated in terms of, guys talk about, hey, I got drafted. It was the greatest day of my life. It was like the greatest relief of my life because the earlier I had been projected to go a little bit higher, and then my senior year happened. It wasn't a phenomenal senior year by any means from an individual standpoint. So I fell in the draft, and I was just fortunate and grateful to get drafted. I thought at one point I was going to be an undrafted free agent So when I got the call, it was more relief than like celebration. So that just shows you the different perspective. When I was a walk-on, everything, I appreciated everything. And then I think when I got to pros, maybe I took a little thing for granted. So just I talked about, hey, my experience at WSU, I never took anything for granted. But I think when I got in the NFL, I needed more of that walk-on mentality.
So now that you're coaching these young kids, and some of them are probably going to end up in that combine situation, what advice would you give to them?
My advice that I give to these kids is that success, just because you have past success, doesn't guarantee you're going to have future success. So you need to figure out the processes that work for you, and you need to do them on a consistent daily basis. That's my biggest thing, because I think when I played phenomenal football, I was in routine. I was working on the daily things, just I talked about, and I had huge compounding results. I think when I got a little off track, when I let the outside noise get to me, in terms of just turmoil and family, relationships, expectations, all that stuff. When I allowed all the external stuff to go on and it took me away from my process, I think that really threw me off my game. So my advice to the kids is, find a good process for them, which ultimately is focusing on things that you have control of. And then secondly, I do say this too, make sure you got a good core five. When I felt supported, when I had people going in the right direction with me, I thought I had tremendous, support and all that, and allowed me to be my best version. When I felt like, my core five wasn't as good, when things were falling apart, I mean, that really took a toll on me, and it took my attention and focus off of it. And, we're kind of even seeing that now with one of the greatest players of all time. Tom Brady's got a lot of stuff off the field. His core five maybe isn't the way that it's always been. And look at, we're human beings at the end of the day. You gotta be able to get supported up by your loved ones.
Oh yeah. And allow them to be that for you and do that for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know that was a kind of a loaded answer, but anyways, there's a lot I give them, but those are kind of the few points.
It was good. No, I think it was important. Who in your career, who have you really looked up to, and who's had a huge impact on you just as a human?
Yeah. Well, besides my dad, and sorry, Drew Bledsoe, but Tom Brady, the guy I just mentioned, I mean, I think it's pretty well documented. I was obsessed about watching him, and it's kind of funny that I got picked in the 6th round, picked 199, and my first career start was against him. It's like I manifested that stuff, but I just loved his story. He was the 6th or 7th guy at Michigan on the depth chart, worked his way up, started his junior year, then he split time his senior year. So I just loved that he always kind of got through the adversity, and I felt like we had a pretty similar story and pretty similar skill set, even though I think I'm faster than him. But anyway, so he was always that guy for me. And even now, I still look up to him. It's amazing. He's at 45 years old. He's been in 10 Super Bowls. He's won 7 of them, and he's still, he's that kind of that personality that just because you have past success doesn't mean that you take, that guarantees present success or future success. So I think he does a great job of focusing on the process, things he can control. And I think he's just mentally light years ahead of, most people.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I don't think anyone's going to argue with you on that one.
Yeah. And then I will say this too, just, I know he had Jack on here, but Jack was a big mentor for me when I was in college, just kind of overseeing, he's grandfather Coug. He's making sure that the quarterback fraternity is all tightly knit. And, a lot of those guys reached out to me. I mentioned Drew, Drew let me stay at his place in Walla Walla one weekend with my offensive line. I mean, he was giving me tremendous advice. Jason Gesser during my time, he was great. A lot of those guys, Brink now, just meeting Ryan Leaf, all these guys. So it's a tight knit community, but it all starts with Jack, and Jack being the center and focal point and kind of orchestrating and making it happen.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's a great guy. What makes WSU great? Cougs support Cougs, and they are in every business and want to give you a good deal. Looking for a new bank or insurance? Think CougsFirst. Selling your house? Think CougsFirst. Need to plan a party? Pick a venue or set your menu? Think CougsFirst. Did we make our point? Start to Google it at cougsfirst.org. And as always, go Cougs! So When did you mentioned you kind of always knew you wanted to go into coaching, but when did that go from maybe an idea someday to something you were pursuing?
Yeah. I think I always knew it, but once I got out of football, I think I needed a little break from just the game. It takes a mental toll, and I just needed that time. So last year it was kind of like my uh, just my breakaway from football in a sense. My wife and I, we went on a Airstream trip and stuff, and I think after that, just breaking down film again for my company with quarterbacks. I got the itch and I want to be around it. I love the competitive environment. I love the locker room feel. I love like the alpha male energy. And I want to lead young men. And I think at the college level, you really can have a great impact on them. They're 18 to 23-year-old kids, especially with the NIL stuff now. There's a lot getting thrown at them. And I think right now, leadership is desperately needed at the college level. So I think there's a lot of people actually getting out of it just due to the fact that they don't want to deal with the transfer portal and the NIL. And I view it kind of like a recession in coaching. I'm going to go in and see if I can make my mark. And I think that, I think it was just being around the game, wanting to get back into it. I miss it. I miss the fix. There's nothing like running out of a tunnel, being a player. And I think the next best thing is probably being a coach and helping that kid be able to experience the things that I got to. And honestly, I want to win a championship. I've never won a championship as a player. So that's a real driving force for me.
So you have like a dream school / position if you're open to share?
Oh, you know what? Obviously, would love to be at WSU. That's an incredible place. Anywhere I'm open. I'd love to be in the Pac-12, but whatever the best opportunity is, I want to go there and just grow and see where it takes me. So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
What do you think makes a good coach? I mean, you've already mentioned so many different mentors you've had. Obviously, you had Leach, and that was just a good fit. But what do you think makes a really great coach?
We did a little blog post on this. I could technically pull it up right now, but I'll see if I can try to pull off the top of my head. But I think the very first thing is they got to care about the individual. I think I've had coaches before where it's like, yeah, we all wear a number on our jersey, but they don't treat you like a number. They treat you like a great human being, like they actually care for you. My high school basketball coach is that for me. He's a tremendous human. He cares about his guys individually, not just the wins and losses. He cares about how they do off the court. And I think that goes a long way. I think, it's another great point from a coach is like, do they know schematically what they're talking about? Or are they lacking in that area? I think my high school coach from that standpoint from football, my football coach was excellent at that. He taught me the game. Can they actually teach you why you're doing things, not just telling you? And I think consistency, having a coach where a certain situation happens, exactly what's going to be happen in that situation or the outcome of it. And that just it's almost brutal honesty. Like there were some tough conversations I had with Coach Leach that I didn't want to hear, but it made us better from a duo. And then, I think lastly that I will say that they're on time. I'm just kidding. That's a shot at Coach Leach right there. I can count on one hand how many times he was on time for a meeting. But anyways, no, I think those are some points that I always think are good for the from a coach's standpoint. Hey, do you care about the guy? Do you know what you're talking about? And are you consistent? You honest? And yeah.
I feel like that's just a leader in general. Like that applies to life, a job, a mentor.
That's why I love football so much. I think there are so many parallels to life, right? It's the quality and quantity of the work that you do, that's going to produce the outcome that you want in football and life, right? If you're not working in football, you're going to get exposed out there on Saturday. Same thing with life. I think the hard part I have with maybe some of the new age millennial type things is sometimes it seems like kids don't want to work hard for it and that they just want to have the instantaneous fame. And that's just not the way football works. That's not the way life works, in my opinion. I had Jamal on my podcast. And he talked about delayed gratification. And football is all about delayed gratification, right? You work all off season for 12 guaranteed opportunities to go show your stuff on game day. I mean, that's a lot of time to work for just those 60 minutes, 12 times a year. And even in those cases, it might even be cut short if you due to injury or any of that stuff. So there's a lot of sacrifice that goes in for just a little bit of glory. And I think in life, maybe the younger generation, if they're listening right now, put the work in. It's not going to happen overnight. It's like going to a gym. You're not going to have six pack overnight if you go to the gym, or in my case, ever, it seems like. But anyways, but with due time, you're going to get some good results.
Yeah, I hear that. I think that's a message we all would benefit from reminding ourselves of.
Yeah. And I'm a millennial too, so I got to remind myself of that as well sometimes. Sometimes I act like I'm Jack's age, grandpa age.
I know when you said kids 23, I'm like, I feel like I'm 23. I'm not, but that feels like it wasn't that long ago, which is crazy.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways,
what's your favorite football memory? I know that you were there for some dark times, but do you have like college game day going to the WSU, or do you have any time in your I guess tenure at WSU?
Question. I had a real knack for missing, like you did mention, I was there during some dark times, and I had a knack for missing the games where we actually won when we weren't expected to, whether working or driving back to the West Side during the holidays, sometimes how Apple Cup would line up, but probably the Apple Cup where it was multiple field goals back and forth and back and forth. I believe this was 2008. And I was convinced we were going to lose. I'm walking back to the dorm. I hear the crowd erupt, and I know we just won the game, and I missed it. Wow. So even though I wasn't in the stadium, I knew, but at least I beat the traffic heading home for Thanksgiving. But yeah, embarrassing, but now it's on air and everyone hears it. So I was
gonna say, maybe you're like an unlucky charm. It sounded like every game that you were not at, they did a pretty good job. So they paid you to stay away.
You're welcome. Yeah, no, that probably would be one. And then of course, no, that's probably the best one. It's just really memorable because I'll never forget.
Yeah. Well, the only reason I said the unlucky thing, my sister, Natalie, she was determined, like she totally believed that anytime she went to a home game, we lost. We played Stanford, we lost by 2 that year. We probably should have won. There was another close game one of the times that she came out. So she just stopped coming to the home games. And then, finally she figured she broke the spell. My senior year. So anyways, my sister was really convinced that she had to do with the outcome.
And you know what though? I'm going to echo what you said about Apple Cup in the beginning, because that game, you never know. The season could be going one way.
Yeah.
I don't bet anything on Apple Cup. That is a whole different energy. It's just its own thing, and you just never know what to get out of it. So
yeah, that's my nightmare, the Apple Cup. They were pretty good. But would have loved people ask me like, hey, would you trade in some wins? I said, heck yeah, I would. I'd trade in like 5 or 6 or 7 of them. But anyways, I like I said, I got no regrets. We had a good time.
I think that's great. I want to hear more about what you're doing now. And if you could just share with people listening how you got into it. Did you decide to package it the way that you did? And then where can people find more info about it?
Yeah, so I started private quarterback training last year, and soon realized, it's only the haves versus the have-nots in that sense. Only the people that have money could afford that type of training. So I wanted to, and also too, it's hard to scale one person. So I said, hey, why don't we do stuff online and be able to teach all aspects of playing the position of quarterback and making it an affordable price? That's like a subscription model. So that's how it came about. And because I think that I had all these kids come to me and parents come to me, hey, I want to throw it better. I want to throw it better. Okay, well, we made him a great thrower, but they weren't a great quarterback. Like I said, there's a lot of guys that I played with that could throw the crap out of the football, but they didn't know who to throw it to. They didn't have the confidence to throw it to there. They didn't have the ability to stay healthy. So I wanted to make like a whole package of what it takes to be an actual quarterback, not just a thrower. And that's how it started. And then, we saw a real demand and need at other positions to just learn the game mentally and also these mental skills. So that's really it comes down to. My passion is to, I think, help kids gain a lot of confidence. And I think that our program does a great job of doing that at an affordable price. And, they can work at their own pace. So, and one of my favorite things too, is anybody can access it anywhere and anybody can afford it. And what we're trying to do is really get it down to the youth level to make, to have these kids learn that language, I guess, at that young age, so they can really apply the skills. And that's my biggest thing about teaching is, you can teach somebody something. If they don't apply the knowledge, what good is it, right? I heard knowledge is power. I disagree with that. I think the application of knowledge is power. And that's really what we aim to do. So everything that we do, we've got a playbook for them to be able to actually go apply it in their own life, whether it's with our mental skills or whether it's with football school stuff. So anyways, I'm having a lot of fun with it. Like I said, it'll continue. it'll continue to go. And I've got that itch to get in the college coaching world. So hopefully, as I climb the ladder, this program continues to get a lot of traction and helps a lot of kids.
I think that's awesome. And what's the name of it, and where can people find it?
It was for QB training. It's now for FB training because we're not just doing quarterbacks, but we do have quarterback stuff on there, and we have some stuff for other positions as well. So thanks for asking.
Yeah, that's why I asked, because I saw QB earlier, and then I have FB right in front of me in the notes.
There you go. Now our marketing person said it wasn't great. Said, "What are we doing? Advertising for Facebook?" I said, "You know what? It's football."
They'll know.
Anyways, yeah.
And if you're listening, we'll have a link in the show notes so you can go click and check that out. And if it's not for you, please recommend that to people who you think would benefit from it.
Awesome. You know what? And just because we're on the little CougsFirst podcast, if you type in the discount code 4FB, you're going to get 50% off your first month. Just go try it out. See if you like it. Now, don't repeat that to everyone out there. I only want Cougs being able to get that discount. So
that's awesome.
Yep.
Thank you for sharing that. Mm-hmm. Okay. I have one more serious question, air quotes, and then we're going to have a couple fun ones here. What is something people would be surprised to know about Luke that they haven't found on all of the Wikipedia interviews, social media things they can find on you?
Well, I think WSU people would be shocked that I'm actually a really easygoing guy. I feel like I got a pretty good sense of humor. Maybe I'm not showing it on podcast right now, but it seems like when I do interviews, when I was playing quarterback, I always wanted to be like by the book and don't show emotion or anything like that. Just kind of be the calm, steady leader. But really in the locker room and stuff, I'm one of the most, I think, prankster, jokester, all that type of stuff. So I think people view me as such a serious character. That's really not who I am at all. And I guess only the people closest to me really get to see the real me. But from the outside perspective, I just kind of keep up this wall. Because anyways, I only want people that really are in my corner to know the real Luke. So that's kind of, I think, as people get to know me, they're like, wow, you're a lot more easygoing than I thought. Yeah, you're not just a robot. So I think, I was so robotic when I was as a player that's just not who I am.
Would you share more of that now? If you were to go back, would you share more of that side of you now, do you think?
A little bit, maybe. It was funny because we had, it seemed like two clashing personalities in the sense that I was so robotic by the book, and then Gardner comes in after and he's warming up in his jock strap and stuff. So I'd say I was probably somewhere more in the middle of that. But I think honestly, I had a fear of if I did open up that I'd lose what I had going. So it was kind of that false reality in a sense. So I didn't allow myself to open up so much because I didn't want to get burned.
Yeah. You were protecting yourself.
I was doing a little protective, but now, I guess I just am who I am, and I don't care as much about what people think of me. I think in college, I really had I think people had a real power over me. I allowed what people said about me really shaped my belief about myself at certain parts until, I finally got a little more mature. But, and I think a lot of people do, right? What people say about you, good or bad, kind of, you take that on as your own identity. And that's one of the things that we really try to work on with these kids is like, hey, that doesn't matter. Their opinion's really a projection of how they feel about themselves, really not about you. So anyways, and I didn't mean to get into the weeds of that too much.
No, I think it's good. And I think young people listening to this, I hope they benefit from that little extra nugget that you shared.
Yeah, I hope so, because I see it on social media. And it's like, oh, that person's really trying to get the approval from others. And I think a lot of people do. So I think that's one of the best things that not playing, I've fully allowed myself to just be me. And I'm not trying to get any approval from anybody, any fan. And I'm just really proud of the work that I've done.
Yeah, good for you. Thank you for sharing that and being vulnerable with us. Who knew we were going to go there, Luke? I love it. Okay, time for the quick little questions that everyone gets to answer, including Kirk and Jack, like you mentioned before we were recording. So awesome. Number one, what's like a must-see WSU football game that you have to go to?
Must-see?
Just in general, or it could be this year specifically. Home game at WSU.
So you're saying like at the stadium or just in Pullman? Either one?
At the stadium.
At the stadium. You know what? I've only been to 2 WSU games as a fan, And I think everybody has to go up in that press box. It's pretty fun during a game. They got great drinks up there. And I think people, get to experience that. But I definitely think that everybody has to go do that. What is it? The Cougar Prowl or something where the team comes in. I think that's a pretty fun event. People spilling drinks on the players, and it's a good time.
And who, as far as like teams that we play against, who do you feel like is worth watching every year?
That we play?
Yeah.
I would probably say, obviously, the University of Washington would be one. Oregon. I mean, all those northern teams. So I think the whole Pac-12 is pretty good this year. So I would definitely say Oregon or Washington.
Okay, perfect. Mm-hmm. And then if you were to get a drink in Pullman right now, where would you go?
I'm going to go to Birch and Barley. And I actually was just up in Pullman, and I was overserved with some Moscow Mules. And then they make some pretty good whiskey drinks too. We had a quarterback classic thing up there. They had like 3 different whiskey drinks. Really good. So they got it going on. My favorite place to eat in Pullman. It's no surprise. Porch Light Pizza. I love it. And then I think, Mike. I like Mike at Zoe's. So anyways.
Yeah. Yep. Great answers. Okay. And last one. This one hangs people up. It's a tough one. So think about your answer.
Okay.
If you were to describe your time at WSU in one word, what would it be?
Can I do 2 words? Dream.
Fine.
Dream. Yeah. It was just a complete, I couldn't have dreamed it up any better unless we had an Apple Cup win. Then maybe it would have been the absolute peak. But I think it was just a complete dream for me.
Yeah, love that. Luke, thank you so much for your time today. Any last words of wisdom to the Cougar audience you feel the need to share?
Just like I look for American made, let's look for some Coug made Coug-owned businesses and stuff. So I think if you have an opportunity to buy local or buy WSU owned, go ahead and do that. It's fun seeing these CougsFirst emails come out and see what the different products are. So I know when I'm buying my next car and all that, I'm going to be looking up who owns some dealerships that are Cougs. And then also too, I'm going to give a little shout out up to Bear Trail Lodge up in Alaska. Any fishermen listening to this show, go look at my Instagram and go see those 30-inch rainbows we were catching. They are Coug owned as well. So go up there, Bear Trail Lodge, look them up on Instagram. Cougs up there in Katmai or King Salmon, Alaska. That's what it is. So anyways, give them a little shout out.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And for everyone listening, we appreciate you tuning in. If you like this podcast, please share it with the people. That would mean a lot to us. But I have to end it here with a Go Cougs.
Go Cougs, Kelsey. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. And that's a wrap. Thanks for hanging out with us on the CougsFirst podcast. We hope you leave feeling inspired, entertained, and encouraged to support yet another awesome Cougar-owned business. If you like what you heard, do us a huge favor and leave a review for the CougsFirst podcast on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on the latest episodes, and please share this podcast with your fellow Cougs. And remember to thank CougsFirst for all of your products and services. But until the next episode, let's end it with a good old-fashioned Go Cougs!